Good evening, everybody. Today is the start of Passion Week. It's a remembrance of the last week of Jesus' life on earth, and it leads us up to Good Friday, to his crucifixion, and Easter Sunday, his resurrection. And I thought that during the course of this week, I'd just spend a couple of moments each evening and just share some thoughts around what happened on each day during Passion Week. And so today I want to share some thoughts about the triumphal entry, Jesus riding into Jerusalem on a donkey. The people were expecting him. They were expecting a Messiah, a leader who was going to set them free, probably wanting them to set them free from the Romans and the nations around them who were closing in on them from every side. And as I've thought about it, I've been reminded about a wonderful occasion that I had last summer. And it was the wedding of my daughter Sarah to her now husband, Jono. They live in Lisbon, and so it was a 30-degree wedding at a beachside restaurant, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful occasion. But it took a long time in coming. Firstly, Jono and Sarah have been together for, I'm not sure, I think it's about 10 years they've been together, and we've been waiting for them to get married. But we hadn't just been waiting for them to get married. On the day of the wedding, all sorts of things went wrong, which meant that Sarah didn't arrive at the wedding until longer than an hour and a quarter after it was supposed to start. And I was waiting outside for her. All the guests were waiting inside. Most of them didn't know each other because they'd come from the four corners of the globe. But by the time the wedding was ready to start, especially as the bar was open, it became quite a jovial affair, and everybody was chattering together, taking photos with each other, and just having a really nice time. So by the time that Sarah arrived and we started walking down the aisle, everybody just burst out cheering and clapping and whooping and shouting for Sarah, and it just felt great. It's unusual, really. That usually happens at the end, but it happened at the start, and it was just lovely. It was just really fantastic to be a part of. There was a real sense of arrival. And as I thought about that, it made me realise that there was a real sense of arrival as Jesus arrived in Jerusalem. People had been expecting him. For hundreds of years they'd have been expecting this Messiah who wasn't coming, but now here he was, someone who'd been doing wonderful things in their communities, had been helping everybody at their point of need, and it was fantastic that they recognised who he was and were accepting him and cheering him. How different the story's going to be by the end of the week. And they were cheering him and clapping him and laying down palm leaves and coats and cloaks and all sorts. And they were laying those all down in front of him and singing his praises, expecting, we think, that he was going to set them free from the Roman rule and from the countries who were pressing in around them. It's still the same today in terms of the countries around them pressing in around them. And they were right to clap. They were right to cheer. They were right to wave palm branches and lay down their cloaks in front of him, because indeed he was going to come and set them free. But that wasn't his kind of kingdom. That wasn't his kind of leadership. He didn't come to set them free from the Romans or from the countries around about them. He came to set them free from something entirely different. He came to set them free from things that bound them as people. Things that held them as individuals, as captives. Maybe it was something they were grieving, or someone they couldn't forgive, or something they couldn't forgive themselves for, or whatever it may be. And Jesus came to set them free from themselves. He came to give them life, and life in all its fullness. And as I think back on them and their circumstances, I think about us and me in my circumstances. What things bind me? What things bind you? Jesus came to set us free from the things that bind us. Bless you. Good night.